You know why the conspiracy theorists have been right about everything? Like, and it was just more and more we're learning how they've been correct about every little thing. It's because these people are the anti-Bugman. Right?
So if you're somebody who thinks jaywalking laws are for my benefit, go ahead and turn off the video and go ahead and subscribe to Mr. Beast, plug into the system, buy your new iPhone. I get that. I'm confident enough about this issue in particular that there's no good defense of it. So if they have any defense of it at all, they are working for the government for free.
So I want to expand a little bit on this too. Is like, so I've made the point already. I think that this is dangerous because it's the Bugman identity strips you from more fundamental truths, more fundamental traditions, and things that keep you grounded. Right? That these are all very necessary for your foundation as a human being and as a man. And we've talked a little bit about like big lies versus little lies. So the Bugman identity enables you to accept lies that escalate, right? You start with a small lie, which is, I need the latest iPhone. Very small lie, not a big deal. I need to play the new Marvel game. Not a big deal. It's a small lie, but it leads to bigger things, which is, okay, I need the latest iPhone, and that means that I need to love this iPhone, and I need to love, like, for example, the diversity, equity, and inclusion that went into building this iPhone, because that's what Apple taught me about, right? So that's a little bit bigger lie. And then what goes beyond that? Okay, now, according to this diversity, equity, and inclusion, a man can turn into a woman. Okay, so I just need to accept that too, right? Oh, and then this man needs to be allowed into my wife's bathroom at the same time. Oh, so it's just another lie. I just need to accept that, right? It just keeps going up and up, and these lies get worse and worse. What do you have to say? I want to hear what you have to say about that.
No, and I love the way you're going with this from the ground. You're attempting to do bottom up, which I like. It's actually interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm viewing it from
I did my best.
I went. Yeah. I'm thinking top down from this. I'm thinking, okay, that the system is set up to a point where everyone needs to be lied to from that level. But then the easier solution is let's make everyone lie to themselves, right? So they have developed a sort of a Skinner box, if you will, of a way to kind of have everyone communicate to themselves these lies that you're talking about, where it starts off small and it starts off to a point where you're just having people shill for Apple like for free. And what I mean by that is this: have you ever had somebody try to convince you that an error in an Apple product is actually a good thing for you, when you're thinking, how could that ever be a good thing for anybody? And they have some talking point, almost as if they work for the marketing team of Apple. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
it's
so
crazy.
No,
you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
To me, it seems so inorganic when I hear somebody say to me like, oh, it's like that story that came out the other week about DeepSeek. There was blowback in the Western media saying, well, actually, there's this crazy game theory phenomena where there's too much efficiency leads to too much XYZ bad things.
Right.
And immediately, that's to me the sniff test. I withdrew consent from that whole narrative because I was just so sucked out of the Bugman society. I'm like, you're not going to be able to convince me 1 + 1 = 3. I don't know what this. I can see this as damage control. I was there for 9/11. I know what blowback is. So it's like, this is not. You're not going to. I'm not going to buy this, right? And that's the same thing when somebody tells me, hey, actually, the fact that the videos are now shorter, or like smaller of a box on your phone, it's actually a good thing because you can, and whatever reason they give you, is something from Apple's marketing team. And they tell themselves that because they need to feel good about the fact that they're locked into that ecosystem. But you, me, and other good faith actors will say, no, it's just a bad design. And to credit Apple, they did fix it a couple weeks later. They said, hey, you know what, we took the feedback, we'll fix it back to the original format, but whatever. But you see where I'm going with this is people kind of shill these small lies for the companies because they feel an identity to that system. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, their whole identity, as you said, their whole identity is built into it, and it extends not just into the products that they're consuming, but their beliefs about the world itself. And this is how people get controlled. You know why the conspiracy theorists have been right about everything? Like, and it was just more and more we're learning how they've been correct about every little thing. It's because these people are the anti-Bugman, right? They're the ones who ask the questions. Right. They hear the narrative, and if it makes sense to them, okay, maybe they'll buy it. But if it doesn't, then they're willing to ask questions. They're not just going to appeal to the experts. Anthony Fauci said, "Put on the mask." Well, first he said the masks don't matter, right? He said they don't matter. They're not effective at all. But then he said, "Put them on." And it's like the anti-Bugman is always like, I don't believe you at all. Like, I can tell that you're a liar. I'm skeptical to begin with. And I have a grounding in something greater than this, which whatever you tell me, I don't care about your credentials. I don't care about your expertise. I see that you're in the government. You're put into a position. You were appointed by some political person why should I believe anything you have to say? I simply don't by default, and it's up to you to prove to me that what you're saying is true. And if you don't do that to a satisfactory level, I'm out. I'm not going to believe it.
And I'm going to give some example here about what, and it's more like, some of you guys are going to say, well, you're just cherry picking to make yourself sound, intellectually consistent. Well, yes, I am, but I'm going to do it anyway. So here's what I'm going to say. The government does say good things sometimes, right? And I will say that, for example, if they tell you to put on your seatbelt, that's a good thing. You should do that.
Yeah.
Now, are they doing that for your best interests? I don't believe so, and we can get into that and why and all that, and insurance claims and stuff. I mean, I've got a brother in the industry, so he knows kind of how that works. Are they doing that for your best interest? Probably not, but is the result of it going to net positive for you and them? Yes, right? But that's an isolated thing that's unique to just that system. But you talk about the same kind of area and you say, hey, don't jaywalk. Now, that one, is that something that do you think about this for a second? And this might be a libertarian talking point, but hear me out before you turn off the video. Are you somebody who is too dumb to realize that you can look left, look right, and then decide that you are safe to cross a street? Do you need really law enforcement to tell you, hey, I'm going to give you a ticket because, yeah, you did it this time, but next time you try it, I'm giving you a ticket so that you have the feeling of, hey, I don't want to get a ticket, and that's going to eventually save my life from getting hit by a car. Now, ask yourself this. Are you 6 years old? Are you 9? Do you need to hold your grandma's hand before you walk? Are you holding her hand or is she holding yours? You see what I'm saying? And so, in my view, none of this stuff, a lot of this stuff is the same process, right? They make the law because they need some type of, that's obviously like a money scheme, right? They need cash to fund it or whatever. So they need ways to ticket people, or they need an excuse to pull people over and kind of investigate what's going on. And I see there's art involved in that. I get the whole process of, find what you can work with, but that's not for your benefit. So if you're somebody who thinks jaywalking laws are for my benefit, go ahead and turn off the video and go ahead and subscribe to Mr. Beast, plug into the system, buy your new iPhone. I get that. But if you are rejecting that at any point, keep watching and we're going to give you some more content on this.
Yeah, no, that's a good example because it's so absurd, right? The jaywalking thing. I remember when I was a kid, somebody once told, I don't know who it was, somebody once told me that you're supposed to stop, look, and also smell because you could smell the fumes from a car coming. Which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't understand how that, like, I'm not a shark in the water smelling blood. I'm not a bloodhound. I can't smell that freaking well. Like, what are you even telling me right now? You're telling me what they were telling me is not to trust my own eyeballs, that there's a car or there isn't a car, that maybe I'll smell it. Like, just a crazy thing to say.
Okay.
But it's a good example because it's so absurd that even people who are a Bugman may try to defend this, and they may say something like, yeah, okay, this law, yeah, it may be a little like, overbearing, but if you break this law, you're more likely to break that law, and then society just crumbles to dust. So that's why you should respect every law, no matter how, small or minor it may seem. That's why you should go along with it. But that's exactly the point. Like, you're supposed to be locked into this system of control. You're supposed to accept every little thing that they tell you so that you're a good and obedient Bugman contributing to the hive. Right? Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're supposed to not do. You're supposed to escape that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with that example specifically, I think people think this is a perfect litmus test. If any of your friends are saying to you, say to you something like, you know what, actually the jaywalking law is a good thing, and here's why. No matter what they're going to say, I'm confident enough about this issue in particular that there's no good defense of it. So if they have any defense of it at all, they are working for the government for free. So they're
right.
for free working for the government.
They do it for free.
And this is
yeah,
exactly. And so this is something where you can immediately say, hey, you are somebody who's trying to be contrarian on purpose. And it sounds weird because we're always, the non-Bugmen of the world are being called contrarians, right? But this Bugman in particular on this issue is a Bugman in my mind, or is a contrarian in my mind, because they're contrary to logic. They're on purpose trying to say, hey, you know what? All of my instincts tell me that this is a stupid law, but it has to be for some reason that I can't comprehend, so I'm going to just try to rationalize it, and I'm going to go contrary to you guys. It's like those people that are still, it's the year 2026 right now, right? 2028, whatever. It's like the people that are still talking about building 7, et cetera. And I'm not going to go too far with that, but you know those words and you can probably intuit what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's those public narrative folks who are just die by the sword. CNN was right all along. Like all those folks, your seatbelt laws, I get that, right? But your jaywalking laws, not so much. So litmus test for you viewers, if you want to check it out and just ask some of your friends, hey, what's the deal with the jaywalking laws? If they ever give you any pushback on it and say it's a good thing because this and that and the other, they're plugged in. They're dialed into the system. So.
What's up, guys? Thanks for checking out this clip from the Maneuver Life podcast. If you enjoyed it, consider liking and subscribing and leaving a comment, even if it's just because you want to tell us how dumb you think we are, but especially if you want to tell us how much you agree with what we were saying. We have weekly uploads every single Monday, long-form conversations just like this one. So consider checking it out one way or the other. Thank you so much for your attention. You have a good rest of your day.